Hey everybody, I'm Crow. Welcome to Pillars of Eternity. Black Friday was basically first Christmas, so we got a bunch of games. Well, 4. But it's still more than enough. Because of that, we're actually able to play 2 games at the same time, so I'm going to be playing this alongside Darkest Dungeon, which I've already gone through the full recording session for, and that game's awesome too. I know nothing about this game, other than that it is very similar to the Baldur's Gate games, apparently. And I had hard copies of them, or at least the second game, and I put a ton of time into that one. And then I got them both on Steam, and I put like 80 hours into Baldur's Gate 1 and like another 250 something into Baldur's Gate 2. So, while I'm entirely new to this game, I'm not new to this type of game. And I'm pretty excited because I've heard it's really, really good. So, if I could have another game that's like Baldur's Gate and a lot more recent, because I'm pretty sure this game's 2015, then happy days. In the Path of the Damned difficulty, enemies receive a bonus to most stats and encounters have many more enemies. Warning, this option can't be changed in-game. It is only intended for players who want the most punishing encounters. Yeah, no thanks. Oh, okay, I put my cursor over it. The hard difficulty is suited for Infinity Engine veterans, who are looking for a challenge. Survival requires micromanagement and optimization of stats through items, spells, and abilities. The normal difficulty requires strategy and efficiency, but forgives a few mistakes in combat. It is not recommended for newcomers to real-time strategy or real-time party-based RPGs. The easy difficulties requires minimal micromanagement and easily forgives mistakes in combat. It is strongly recommended for those who are new to or recently returning to real-time party-based RPGs. Story time is the mode for players who are more interested in exploration and story development than the challenge of combat. While story time is active, the enemy composition of battles is the same as normal difficulty, but the game mechanics are biased in the player's favor. Additionally, the party can carry an unlimited number of camping supplies. Expert mode disables a number of helper features in the game. Players who want to rely on their own faculties and intuition while playing the game should play on expert mode. No thank you. In Trial of Iron mode, only one save file is kept for the entire playthrough. If the player is killed, the file is deleted. You must start again. Ooh. I'm kind of tempted to start on hard, but I don't know enough about the optimization of stats and everything through this game yet. So, because I am returning, I think we're going to go for normal. Yeah, normal will be a good start. I typically like to play castery people, but I mix and match. I did some pretty cool fighter-cleric stuff in the other games. Or cleric-ranger, I think it was. Pillars of Eternity. The hype is real. I've been wanting this game for a long time. Your character's biography writes itself as your adventures unfold. Check the journal tab of the quest window to see how yours is developed. That's pretty nifty. It sounds kind of just like the journal you had in Baldur's Gate 2. But that's just more like a quest log than a real biography. If this actually writes itself, that's pretty nifty. I hope there's lots of choices and stuff. Like a good and evil bar and all kinds of different paths, because you could have good, evil, and neutral parties in the other game. I don't know how much I should compare them, but I'm pretty sure Obsidian Studios also made Baldur's Gate. Or at least made one of them. So, I think if it's by the same company, it's pretty...
5 wagons grope blindly for the path on a starless night, their master glancing ever upward to the skies for assurance that he is on the right course. A dim lantern his only protection against the encroaching darkness. But the skies bring no comfort, shining no light, betraying no hint of what they know. The caravan carries travelers bound for the frontier hamlet of Gilded Vale, you among them, where a local lord has offered land and wealth to settlers from abroad looking for a fresh start. You have taken suddenly ill, sweating and shivering, and one of the other travelers signals for the caravan master to stop on your behalf. He pulls up just in time to avoid plowing into the trunk of a fallen tree that bars the way ahead. You will go no further tonight.
That's so nice. They actually stopped just for you. Also, I'm sick. That must mean I'm turning into ball spawn. Or you are the ball spawn. What was the demon thing called? I'm sorry, I messed it up. Ignore me. A woman's role in... I'm not going to be a woman. It's just a personal preference thing. I typically only play male characters, unless it's like there's not an option. Like in League of Legends or any other game where the characters have a default storyline. I'm fine with that, but... Place of men in society varies from culture to culture. Cultures like Adir, and the Dry Deerwood, they're like in the YRs. Place them at the forefront of the military, politics, and heavy labor. Among the tribes of Nastik? Nasitak? Men perform many of the homesteading and organized duties in Ir Glanfeth and Ixamiddle. Ixamiddle? I can already tell we're going to be having problems. Men and women have more fluid social roles in all societies. There are exceptions to the rule. Men can be found in a wide variety of professions and stuff. Humans! What I'm most concerned with here is what classes can I be? Can any race be any class? Amana. The mighty Amana are the largest of the Kith races, and are commonly found in or near oceans. I do love oceans. Though not truly aquatic, they have an affinity for water, and many of their civilizations, such as Roadi, are based on naval dominance. They are known for their unparalleled strength. Might +2. So I guess that's like strength? Might represents a character's physical and spiritual strength. I didn't know it included spiritual stuff. Brute force, as well as their ability to channel powerful magic. During interactions, it can be useful for intimidating displays and acts of brute force. In combat, it contributes to both damage and healing, as well as fortitude defense. I figured this game wouldn't be like straight-up Dungeons & Dragons rules and stuff like Baldur's Gate was, because I think this is just made by Obsidian Studios, not for anyone else. So a lot of the things are going to be similar, but worded differently, I think. Resolve reflects a character's internal drive, determination, fearlessness, and the emotional intensity they can project to others. It can be useful for mental intimidation, leadership, and convincing performances. In combat, it helps characters maintain concentration and contributes to the will and deflection defenses. And Might's the other all-arounder. Minus dexterity, minus constitution. You know, I don't hate dwarves, but I don't ever roll one. It's just, I hate negatives. The only class I ever roll with negatives typically is elves. Because it's like a constitution minus. They don't even get one. They're good at dexterity, they're good at perception. Does that mean they're not good at casting? Elves are the dominant race in Ir Glanfeth. Wow, it gives you so much backstory. There's going to be a lot of reading in this game. I hope you guys don't mind. And the white that wins and are extremely common in the Deerwood and Adir. Elves are known for their speed and intelligence, as well as a commonly isolationist nature. Perception represents a character's senses, as well as their instinctive ability to pick up on details. In interactions, it can be used to catch someone in a lie, to make an observant comment about their appearance, or to notice something happening in the background. In combat, it contributes to accuracy and reflex defense, and grants a bonus to interrupt. That's pretty cool. And dexterity is... Normally I wouldn't have to read all these things, but since it's not straight to the rules, I don't know what out-of-combat effects this would have. So, dexterity is an abstraction of a character's hand-eye coordination balance, and overall grace. In interactions, it can be used for sleight of hand and fast reactions. In combat, it affects the character's action speed with all attacks, spells, and abilities, and contributes to the reflex defense. So, reflex saves. Orlan! Orlans are the smallest of the Kith races, though many cultures don't consider them to be civilized at all. Also notable for their large ears, two-tone skin, and hirsute bodies. Orlans are commonly found in Ir Glanfeth, the Ixamiddle, I wish I knew, plains, and parts of Deerwood. They are known for their mental intensity and sharp senses, so they've got resolve and perception, but they're not very powerful. Godlike. If they're why is they... What? Why is they? The godlike are children of the Kith, civilized races, who have been blessed with physical aspects associated with the gods, though some do not consider it a blessing. Yeah, I could tell. Flaming Hornhead. All the problems in the world finding someone. Like, how does he lay down at night? If he sets the pillows on fire, does he have to sit? Does he have to sit in a chair when he sleeps? Fate worse than death. These aspects may take forms and often come with mystical powers. Aberrant head shapes are typical, and godlike are unable to wear protective headgear, as it is near impossible to find anything that fits. Because of their unusual nature and their inability to reproduce, godlike are often viewed with fear and wonder. Oh, okay, well then they don't need a spouse or anybody because they can't reproduce anyway. Intellect represents a character's logic and reasoning capabilities. In interactions, it can be useful for deduction, sudden realizations, and problem solving. In combat, it contributes to the will defense, and influences durations and areas of effects for all abilities and talents. So might is the thing that's going to affect all damage, basically. Dexterity. And he's got good might. Might and resolve. So what I'm feeling is I'm conflicted between elves and humans. He has resolve, though. Dexterity. I mean, humans are usually, like, the go-to choice for every game. Like, I don't mind being a human. I actually rather like it, but is it being too boring just being the basic human thing that we already are? But then again, elves are pretty much the same. I wonder if I could make him not green. We're going to look at the classes, and then we'll come back if we need to change it. Pale elf? What elf? Oh, that looks better. Elemental endurance. All pale elves have increased burn and freeze damage reductions. Distant advantage. Against any enemy that is more than 4 meters away, wood elves gain bonuses to accuracy, deflection, and reflex. I feel like that's so cool. There's sub-races. Ooh, that's a lot of classes. Ooh, that's a lot of classes. Barbarians are brutes, madmen, berserkers. Though city-dwelling people often find use of the term barbarian with a dose of disrespect, these rural warriors are respected for their communities. I know what they are. Starting abilities, Carnage. When barbarians hit with melee attacks, they automatically make reduced damage attack rolls against all other enemies within a short distance. So they have splash damage. They get a +2 to athletics and a +1 to survival. Their endurance is very high, their health is very high, their accuracy is average, and the deflections are low, because they're supposed to have really high health, so they soak up lots of damage. Chanters! I don't really know what these are. In every culture across Eora, there are chanters. Many historians consider chanters to be the most ancient workers of magic. Their hallowed phrases stirring the collective memory of wayward souls around them, compelling them to generate magical effects in a kind of reenactment. In some societies, chanters form organized groups of storytellers and researchers, but in most parts of the world, they are just a time-honored part of local folk traditions. Starting abilities, phrases and chants. All chanters can continuously speak chants made up of magical phrases. Phrases produce passive effects and help build a chanter's power until they can use an invocation. Invocation. Powerful magical effects that chanters can create after they have spoken a required number of phrases through their chants. Lore +2, mechanics +1. It sounds kind of bard-like. And there isn't actually a bard class, so I'm going to assume that they're the closest thing to that, while not actually being one. Cipher. Ciphers can directly target allies and enemies with powerful soul-focused effects. These powers cost focus, which ciphers build through their use of the Soul Whip. Low health, and endurance, accuracy, meh. I can't imagine us being a druid, but... Shapeshift. They have spells, because they're basically divine casters, with slightly different skill sets and stuff. Fighters. Constant recovery. Fighters continually regenerate endurance at a modest rate during combat. That's pretty cool. Athletics, lore, and survival. Monks. Transcendent suffering. When monks have no weapons equipped, their unarmed attacks are exceptionally powerful and continue to increase damage as they gain levels. So like everything else. Or every other kind of monk. Wounds. As monks are damaged, their pain generates wounds. Wounds can be used to power many of monks' special abilities. So they're kind of like Berserker-y Olaf people. Like, the more damage they take, the more damage they do. So, honestly, never really been my playstyle. I hate playing at low health. I know it's like high risk, high reward, but I always end up screwing it up. Paladins. As long as they're not lawful stupid. Faith and Conviction. Paladins have an inherent bonus to all of their defenses. Over the course of the game, the value of this bonus may shift based on reputations the paladin gains relative to the behaviors that are preferred by his or her order. It sounds an awful lot like no. Priest, I can't imagine either. Unless there's multi-classing. Holy Radiance generates a modest amount of endurance for all allies around the priest. Any enemy vessels caught in the area take burn damage and might be frightened. Over the course of the game, the power of this ability may shift based on the reputations the priest has gained relative to blah blah blah. Priests have the access to a variety of support and of some offensive-oriented spells. Every 2 levels, priests automatically gain access to an additional set of spells. Initially, their spells can be cast a limited number of times per rest. As priests gain power, their weaker spells eventually shift to per encounter use. Very good. I'm very sad that I don't see Sorcerer on here. Ranger. Animal Companion. All rangers share a strong bond with an animal companion that... Oh, I don't want an animal companion. And it fights for them and stuff. They don't do much damage, but they have high damage reduction, so they're tanky. Rogue, maybe. Vicious Killers! That means we need a bunch of rogues and paladins, and they can all just be friends. Starting ability. Sneak Attack. Applies bonus damage to the rogue's ranged and melee weapon attacks. When the target has any of the following afflictions: blinded, flanked, hobbled, paralyzed, petrified, prone, stuck, stunned, or weakened. What's hobbled? Characters have their dex reduced by 2, movement by 1.5, and reflex by 20. It also applies to any target the rogue strikes with a weapon within the first 2 seconds of combat. You get stealth and mechanics. Very low health, low endurance, very high accuracy, low deflections. And Wizard. Why does he have a book? I just mean it's kind of big, I don't know. The Masters of Academic Magic. I just wish he had like one big staff. That's fine though. Arcane Assault. Mid-range attacks that hits a small area for raw damage. 8 types of damage. Slash, pierce, crush, burn, shock, corrode, freeze, and raw. Damage types used to determine how easily a target resists based on the type of their damage reductions. A creature or suit of armor may be very resistant to one type, but quite vulnerable to another. So it's not actually going to tell me. Raw damage is the only... Oh, wait. Raw damage is the only damage type that ignores all damage reductions and is generally associated with poisons and other similar effects. So it's not resisted. That's cool. And can leave them dazed. Wizards have access to a variety of offensive and personal defense spells. Unlike priests and druids, wizards learn individual spells, and they store in and cast directly from their grimoires. Grimoires can only hold 4 spells of each spell level, which motivates wizards to keep multiple grimoires for different needs. Every 2 levels, wizards gain access to an additional set of spells. However, they can automatically learn one of the spells of any level they can access each time they advance. Wizards also have the option of learning by spells from grimoires they can find or buy initially. Their spells can be cast a limited number of times per rest. As wizards gain power, their weaker spells eventually shift to per encounter use. +2 lore. Lore represents a character's accumulated miscellaneous knowledge and trivia, often of occult or esoteric topics, outside of conversations and scripted interactions. Lore is used to activate scrolls. Higher lore values allow the character to use higher level scrolls. Mechanics are traps and locks. Okay. Very low, low, very low, very low. Rogue, wizard. If we're going to be an elf, it would probably be better to be a rogue. As a wizard, it might be better to be a human because we get the might? I don't know. It would be really nice to have somebody that can disarm traps. If it's as important as it was in Baldur's Gate, then rogues should level up faster than all of the other classes and be able to disarm traps. And if they can disarm traps, that means that I'm free to have everybody else do whatever they want. But having someone who can properly learn all of the spells because he has a... I can't compare this directly to Baldur's Gate, so it makes it complicated. I kind of want to try a wizard. But... sorcerers are my favorite because you don't have to memorize spells. You just cast whatever you want. I need to do something utility. It's got to be a rogue or a wizard, I think. I don't know if I want a priest. I don't know what characters we start with, though. Let's go for human, then. Meadowfolk. Fighting Spirit. Once per encounter, 5 seconds after being reduced below 50% endurance, folk temporarily gain accuracy and damage bonus. Ocean Folk. Once per encounter... Fighting Spirit. Are these all exactly the same? Gain bonuses to accuracy and damage. Then we are of the Meadows. And we'll be a wizard. He's so buff for a wizard, though. Alright, well, we're already a little bit over. So... thank you guys very much for watching. I'm going to read over these. Or should I do it in the next episode so you guys know what they are? Yeah, we'll go over it next time. It's going to be a slow start, guys, but this game has a lot of reading. So this is going to be a lot of what the game's like once we get out of character creation. So thank you for understanding. I hope you guys liked it. Later, everybody.